As we celebrate Christ the King Sunday today, I have three things to share with you. And I tell you that up front for two reasons. Reason one is all 3 points are very independent of the other, so it's not going to flow perfect. And number two, I want you to have reason to hope that there is an end to what I will be saying. And so when you get to number three, you're sliding into home plate. It's good. Yesterday was a very unique moment because on two different occasions, two parishioners spoke to me, and I swear they told me the exact same thing, but they were not together. One was in the morning and one was in the evening, but they said the exact same thing to me. They both said, "We appreciate your homilies very much, and almost always they're correct." And I kind of, scratched my head a little bit. I said, okay, what does that mean? Almost always they're correct. Maybe you have a similar sentiment. I do not want a show of hands. But it made me think the rest of the evening, what does that really mean? Because on one hand, I felt like I was being judged, what I was saying, which is fair and good. And it ultimately led me to the question of, by what standard am I being judged and what I say? Is it the standard of the catechism and teaching of the church, or is it the standard of personal opinion? I personally agree, I personally disagree. And it's a simple question maybe for us all to think about on Christ the King Sunday, normal Sunday, to really review our faith life. By what standard do we live our life? Do we wish to be led, or do we wish to lead the leader? It's a simple question. And the prophet Ezekiel reminds us this morning that Christ is the shepherd. Reminds us that Christ is the shepherd that tends and pastures the sheep. He's the leader. And the first real thought is, do we want to be led today, or do we wish to lead the leader when it comes to elements of our faith? Simple question to reflect upon. Second question to reflect upon, so you're approaching number two now. Second point, how do you view the church? How do you view the church? It's a simple question. And to add to that question, do you love the church? Do you love the church, or do you view the church as an obstacle to do what you would like to do in making your own decisions? It's two very different ways to look at the church. To genuinely love the church, or some in our contemporary culture view the church as an obstacle. That polarized tension I realized in each of our confirmation retreats. Last weekend we had another one of our confirmation retreats, and a few of our teenagers who were on that retreat are at this very Mass. And I witnessed both ends of the spectrum. In our small group sharing, I witnessed some of our young people of our parish so alive in their faith. And one young man who's at Mass right now defended our faith to his peers who were questioning and challenging. And he did it with eloquence, with conviction, and with deep prayer. The church is in good hands in many of our future young leaders. But on the other hand, in some of our small groups, we had discussions that saw the church as an obstacle to many of the modern things that are being accepted, but within our Catholic faith, we do not. There's that tension. And where do we fall within that tension? Do we really love the church and trust the Word of God? Or do we see the church as an obstacle, something that we have to overcome in order to live our life as we wish? One thing I shared on the confirmation retreat last weekend, I'm not sure that I did in the earlier ones over the summer, was an analogy. I believe I did share it at the others. I'm going to guess, and I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but I'm going to guess that for all of us in our lifetime, we have loved someone, and someone has loved us. Hopefully, our parents, grandparents have loved us, and we've loved them. Similarly, for those who are married, hopefully, husband and wife, you genuinely love each other. For those who are parents, you love your children. And a simple analogy to make is, do we have to remind a good husband to love his wife? I don't think we do. I think a good husband by nature knows he loves his wife. It's what he operates out of. It's who he is. Similarly, does a good wife have to be reminded to love her husband? The answer is no. A good wife by nature is just who she is, loves her husband. Do not need to be reminded of that. Similarly, as parents, do good parents need to be reminded to love their children? Maybe not everything their children do, but do they need to be reminded to love their children? Absolutely not. Good parents love their children, regardless of joys or sorrows that may come. Do you need to be reminded to love the church? In our human way, we know what it means to love because we've made that decision, that commitment. Do we see the church the same way? Or do we need to be reminded to love the church from time to time? A simple question. Do we see the church as a vehicle leading to God's grace, although giving us a way, a guide to live that may not be always accepted? Do we see that as a vehicle of God's grace and love, or an obstacle to our own opinion? Number 3. You're in the home stretch. Number 3. In the beginning, I said I felt my words were being judged. And they were, and you have the right to do that. But we're reminded in the gospel today that we are all going to be judged. We're reminded very clearly in the gospel that the shepherd will separate the sheep from the goats, and to the ones who followed the commands, they will be brought to eternal life. Those who are hungry, did you give them food? Those who are thirsty, did you give them drink? Those who are strangers, did you welcome them? Those who were imprisoned, have you visited them? Those who are naked, did you clothe them? Very basic things. And as I reflect upon my time here at St. Greg's, I see as a parish family we do that very well. As a parish family, we always step up to the plate. I am often humbled by your tremendous, tremendous generosity. And regardless of where you have personally been with tending to those elements of the gospel, we have an invitation for those who are so regular and active in serving these ways. You have an invitation to do even more. And for those maybe that we've taken a back seat, you have the invitation to step up to the plate this coming Thanksgiving Day. This coming Thanksgiving Day, which is the tradition here at St. Greg's and in many parishes, that the St. Vincent de Paul Society will be taking a collection. St. Vincent de Paul Society is very quiet in all of what they do. And most likely you might be sitting out there saying, well, we never hear about the St. Vincent de Paul Society. We don't hear about what they do. It's because they live the gospel very quietly. They do not let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. And the St. Vincent de Paul Society here at St. Greg's is, I would say, premier throughout the diocese. I am humbled as I look at these men and women who give it their time to go on Saturdays and pick up all types of furniture and appliances to deliver downtown to be used by the poor. The clothes bin that we have here and back by the White House, the St. Vincent de Paul House, the countless calls that they receive for financial support and food support. Many of these individuals are doing the physical labor. And you and I have the invitation to be part of their hands and to be part of their words if we cannot physically do the work to financially provide for these parishioners of ours who give so generously of their time and talent in service. And so I ask you to pray during this coming week. Hopefully Thursday you come to Mass at 10 o'clock when we have the Mass, because the collection at that Mass will be for the work of the St. Vincent de Paul Society. It's their only budget from us, and it's completely on our collective generosity. And if you're not able to be at that Mass, perhaps during the week consider making a donation to the St. Vincent de Paul Society here at St. Greg's to be part of their great mission of quietly feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty, visiting those who are ill and in prison, and giving clothing to the naked. As we bring this year to a close, we simply reflect: what standard do we live our life? Do we genuinely love the church? And how are we bringing these basic gospel principles to life?